We're going to look at a couple of word problems. We're going to figure out how do we find our variables and how do we set up a two-step equation. So the first problem says Robert loves playing number games with his friends. Well, that's not important, so we don't need to worry about that. Robert thinks of a number and his friends have to figure out what the number is. So that's what we're looking for. What is the number? That's definitely going to be our variable. Today he told his friends, if you add 3, so that's definitely important, to half of my number, that's important, you will get 9. So getting 9 is going to be what it equals. And we're going to look for what's my number. Now let's set up the equation. We're going to let n equal the number that Robert's thinking of. So if we take half of that number, so 1/2 of n, and we add 3 to it, we will get 9. There's our equation. That was easy enough. Now let's solve it. We know that we need to isolate the n. We want to get the n alone and we want to know what 1n is. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to use the additive inverse of the 3 to make our constant 0 here. So let's rewrite that. 1/2 of n plus 3 minus 3 will equal 9. And we need to take 3 away from this side as well because we want to keep it balanced. 9 minus 3. So we have 1/2 n plus 0 is going to equal 6. We can rewrite that because we really don't need to show that 0. So we have 1/2 of n equals 6. Well, I know what 1/2 of n is. I need to know what 1n is. So we know if we multiply by the multiplicative inverse, we will get a 1. So 2 is the multiplicative inverse of 1/2. So we'll multiply both sides by 2. So 2 times 1/2 n is going to give us 6 times 2. Because remember, we want to multiply both sides. 2 times 1/2 n gives us n. 6 times 2 is 12. So we know that n equals 12. And I told you always check your answer. So let's look at the check. See if we're right. We're saying that 1/2 of n plus 3 equals 9. That's our original equation. We said n was 12. So let's plug that in. 1/2 of 12 plus 3 should equal 9 if we're correct. Well, 1/2 of 12 is 6. And if we add 3 to that, do we get 9? Yes, we do. So that is the answer. N is 12. We'll look at one other problem. This one says, every day for 5 days, Michaela practices lacrosse. Okay. Over the 5 days, she also practices guitar for a total of 2 hours. Well, definitely that 2 hours is going to be important. So we'll highlight that. 5 days, I'm sure, is going to be important. So we'll highlight that. If she practiced guitar and lacrosse for a total of 20 hours, that's going to be our equals. We want to know how many hours per day did Michaela practice lacrosse. So that's what we're looking for. How many hours per day? So let's let H equal the hours per day. So we have 5 days. So 5 times the hours per day plus 2, because she's also adding the guitar, should equal 20. There's our equation. Now let's solve. The 2 is in our way, so we're going to use the additive inverse. 5h plus 2 minus 2 should equal 20 minus 2. What we do to one side, we must do to the other side. 5h plus 0 should equal 18. We can rewrite that without the 0. We get 5h equals 18. We know what 5h is. We want to know what 1h is. So we want to know how many hours in one day. So let's multiply by the multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse of 5 is 1/5 times 5 should work out to be 18. What we do to one side, we do to the other side, times 1/5. Now we get the number of hours per day is 18 times 1/5, so that would be 18 over 5. And if we divide 5 into 18, 5 goes into 18 3 times, and there's 3 left over. So we have 3 3/5 hours per day.